Show me your hands if you were satisfied with what you heard from the Attorney General today. Nobody. Show of hands if you are frustrated with what you heard.
Very much so. There was no integrity in that room today, it seemed like, when it came to Epstein and Maxwell.
She had 3 opportunities to address survivors. We stood up, and all she had to do was turn around, and she could not even turn around and face us.
I said in my speech today, we're not here for theatrics. And she's like, oh, the theater. And I'm like, yes, you're the main character in this.
The circus act.
Yes.
Yeah. She was a comedian today.
Well said. Yes.
Everyone was laughing at her.
NBC News sat down and interviewed several of the Epstein survivors that can be seen at the House Judiciary hearing involving our Attorney General Pam Bondi. It was a complete and utter circus, something that I covered in depth yesterday. However, now we're hearing from the actual Epstein survivors, and they've got a lot to say. I highly recommend watching the full discussion. We are going to show you some highlights, but I don't even think that does it justice. So if you have the time, please check out the full video of it, which we'll link to in the description box. But before we get to the highlights, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Yeah, just curious about what the reaction is. Obviously, Pam Bondi's a monster, but Trump told her to do that. And the Republicans are upset that they're not doing this cover up well. So let's hear from the women and then I'll weigh in more.
All right, so let's actually begin with how these survivors felt about Bondi's treatment of them during this hearing.
It is such a simple act to turn around and say, I apologize for the terrible job our DOJ did in releasing, that is something that is completely inappropriate. To take responsibility for that, for the damage they did to us, not to state it as, yes, we understand damage was done. No, to us. It was such a simple thing. And it's something we teach children, to take accountability, to recognize when you've made a mistake and you just apologize for it. So there wasn't even an adult in the room that could apologize for the damage done to children and girls. So there's the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, and then there's the crimes of the cover-up. And she's part of that continuing cover-up. So she didn't apologize for that.
So if you didn't catch our coverage of the hearing or you didn't watch the hearing for yourself, the moment that she's talking about is what we're about to show you. It was an exchange between Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and Attorney General Pam Bondi. Take a look.
Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi,
no, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time.
I don't know why Bondi had such a difficult time turning around and just apologizing about the fact that the identities of the survivors who did not want to be identified were not redacted in the release of the latest tranche of files. Like, it doesn't make you a bad person to take ownership of a mistake or something you did wrong. But the question here, Cenk, is, I don't know, was it a mistake or was this an act of intimidation?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And I think she's not apologizing because it wasn't a mistake. And so what has our government done the entire time for decades now? Protected the predators and exposed the girls to harm. They knew that they were raping girls the entire time. They never stopped them. So now they go, oh, whoops, we released the names of the victims, but not the perpetrators. That one, they had to go in, the congressmen like Ro Khanna, Tom Massey, et cetera, and actually get those names that were redacted because the predators are always protected. So we've gone over it a million times. My theory on it is that Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, both parties can't ever say who did it, can't ever bring them to justice, won't ever protect those women or future girls because it was an intelligence agency and it was obviously Israel. And Israel is more powerful than the American government. Israel is more powerful than any force in America. So that is why Pam Bondi humiliated herself yesterday, because these politicians have no choice. They must follow Israel's orders.
I mean, they don't have to unless there's something that Israel is either blackmailing them with, or I don't know. I mean, look, there are some people who are so morally corrupt that like you can pay them to do anything, including throw these survivors under the bus, as they have been for very, very long. But I want to pivot over to, I think, probably the most important part of this discussion, which has to do with the distrust that these women feel toward our institutions. Because I keep seeing, it's really interesting. This tends to happen with people who want to provide cover for the bad behavior of the Trump administration right now, because they want to make it partisan, but this really isn't partisan. And what they always say is, well, why don't they just name names? Why don't they just name names? Why don't they name names? Okay, so I get that you guys, people who make that argument, think that it's like not a big deal. Yeah, just name their names. We're talking about literal billionaires who had already victimized them, okay, raped them, allegedly. I have to say allegedly for legal purposes. But these are people who have unlimited resources and can ruin these women's lives in a situation in which our law enforcement agencies, our governmental institutions are not protecting them. Do you guys understand how scary that is? So just keep that in mind as we go to the next clip, because you're about to hear some of their thoughts on said government agencies.
I was a little embarrassed to see that she couldn't say sorry to us, because she sat there in the beginning, she said sorry for what Jeffrey Epstein did to us, but yet she couldn't apologize what she did to us, what her department did to us, right? It's like you had one job, was to redact our names, to respect our privacy, but yet you carefully took the time to redact all these powerful, rich men. I think we all realize now, oh, you guys really wanted to silence us. And you thought that you could scare us by putting our names out there. And to be honest with you, we've been through worse.
So just think about that, right? I mean, you have the DOJ failing in protecting their identities, failing to redact their names. And then you have people who are easily gullible and swayed by partisans in this country who want to provide cover for the Trump administration. So they argue, well, why don't the women just name names? Okay, what happens after that? So they name names. These rich and powerful, super influential men, again, have unlimited resources to go after them. And then what are we expecting here? For the DOJ to come in and prosecute or investigate these men? We already have names of men who should be investigated right now. Leon Black, former financier of Apollo Management Group, he's one of them. Why isn't he being investigated? So now we turn to the next video, because all the lies from our government agencies have been going on, for a very long time when it comes to this particular scandal. And all the revelations we've learned about hasn't seemed to move the DOJ in wanting to open up investigations. So let's hear from the women in this next clip about that issue.
She says there are pending investigations.
Who, what, where, why, when. We don't have any information, and I would think that they would come to us to get that information.
Yeah, we still haven't talked yet. We haven't even.
Nobody's talked to the DOJ.
Yeah, nobody's talked to any of us.
Show of hands, has anybody had any communication with the DOJ over the course of the last, let's say, 6 months? Do you want to have that communication?
Yes. We've all asked for it.
Does it mean we feel safe?
Yeah.
Does it mean that we think she's gonna listen? No, but we deserve the chance as citizens of this country.
She also said, she was talking about anybody can go to the FBI. Any survivor right now can go to the FBI. And then we saw 302s that are full pages of black that even our congressional leaders can't get access to. So we've gone to the FBI. We've done the legwork. We've done everything we know how to do.
So my question is, if they just decide to name names and have this play out through the court of public opinion, what does that really do for them? All it really does for them in lieu of a law enforcement agency that would actually do its job but doesn't do its job. All that it would open them up to is endless litigation from incredibly rich and powerful men who can crush them, and they know that. And Jake, this is how I feel about a lot of different things, right? Our government, obviously, if there's a war between what's in the American people's interest or in Israel's interest, we've seen that our lawmakers, both on a state and federal level, are willing to throw us under the bus, willing to throw our constitutional rights under the bus on behalf of Israel's best interests, right?
Yeah.
And so in this case with the Epstein files, why would we think any differently? All we've seen from the federal government is one cover up after another, after another, after another.
It's definitely to protect Israel. But let's break it down one by one. First of all, on the naming the women and trying to goad them into saying the names of the guys, Alan Dershowitz says in every appearance he makes, I want him to name the names. We're gonna sue them. We're gonna sue them. The real victims are the people who are being accused, not the women, okay? A lot of them are fake and we're gonna sue them, right? So Dershowitz, he said it on a show that he was on with Anna. And so that's their bullying and intimidating. Alan Dershowitz has represented the IDF before. He works for Israel. He represented Epstein. He's one of the worst people in America. He is obviously loyal to Israel and only Israel. And his job is to try to legally character assassinate these women and rob them of all their money, because they haven't robbed them of enough already. They haven't done enough damage to these women, so Israel's looking to do more. So why is it Dershowitz? Why isn't it like some random, non-Israel connected lawyer? Oh, that's so weird. It's Israel again, huh? Leon Black, also a huge supporter of Israel. Why isn't he arrested? He has some of the worst allegations in the documents about biting a 16-year-old's genitalia, smashing her into a massage table, ripping her clothes off. By the way, that same lady, as we covered earlier, she was 16 at the time, she had a baby and they took the baby from her. Nobody knows what happened to the baby. So is the Justice Department gonna look into what happened to the baby? Did the Justice Department do any investigations to try to actually prosecute these guys? Well, it doesn't look like it, because anytime you talk to the survivors, they say they never even come and talk to us. They don't ask us, they don't investigate, they don't do anything. All they've ever done so far is out the survivors so that creeps like Alan Dershowitz can target them legally, and protected the predators. So is there an investigation of Leon Black? He paid $158 million to Epstein. That seems like a very, very large, payment. He said for financial advice. He's one of the top financial experts in the world. No, it looks like that was a blackmail payment, or maybe it was a payment because he's the top spy for Israel in America. Which brings me to Les Wexner. I don't know, but I'm asking that question. If you think I shouldn't ask that question, you probably work for Israel. So now we go to Les Wexner. Apparently, it turns out the FBI named him as a co-conspirator. So why was there no investigation of Les Wexner? Why did Les Wexner give all of his fortune to Jeffrey Epstein to run? Well, I thought in the beginning that it was blackmail, that he got Leon Black and Les Wexner doing terrible things, and that's how he got their money, right? But no, as you see in the emails, that Wexner is great friends with Epstein and allies with him. So obviously not blackmail. Now, what's the only thing that can get Les Wexner to turn over his entire fortune to a scammer like Epstein, who he knows to be a scammer, because he's his co-conspirator. He knows all the things that are going on. If Motherland Israel asked him, yes, you have to give it, and that's our guy in America. He organizes everything for us. You let him handle your fortune, and we go and get blackmail. There's video cameras in every room. It was in the tissue boxes. Is our government telling us that there was video cameras in every room, including the bathrooms, but they didn't tape anything? Now, you see what I'm saying? The absurdity is over the top. Of course they tape things. Where are the tapes? Have you ever done an investigation of any of this? And the point, guys, is if they've never investigated any of this stuff to try to put away these serial pedophiles and rapists, there's obviously a reason why. And the only thing that can get law enforcement from not investigating those is if an intelligence agency comes to them and says, you are to not investigate this. So the CIA is definitely complicit. The government is compromised. I don't think the CIA works for us. And But all of this in every email, you'll read the job site news stories. Every single time Epstein and his allies are looking to help only one country, and it is not America, it is Israel.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.